Hello, I'm Carl Crumley, one of the partners at Image City Photography Gallery, and I want to welcome you to our show that we call The Magic of Light 2021, featuring the work of 79 guest photographers. Normally, for our shows, I do a series of artist talk videos where I interview the guest photographers, but with 79, that's impractical. I'm not able to do that. But one very special guest photographer that we have in the show, I took time to sit down with him today on a Zoom call and discuss his technique. The artist's name is Scott Matyjaszek, and when I say artist, I mean that. Scott is a photographer and a very talented photographer, but he takes it to another level. He takes photography and converts it into pieces of art that are displayed in 3D, which is a remarkable technique. And in fact, a technique that is so unusual that I decided to copy it a few years ago, and I found out just how much work is involved in producing a piece like this. I did a rather clumsy version of one of his pieces using one of my own images of a jukebox. I found that it was several days of work, a lot of effort to make multiple prints and cut them out and piece them together and glue them and put them into a shadow box. And by the way, I guess I better introduce my guest host. This is Elvis. Elvis, turn around and let the internet see you so everybody can see who I'm talking to and who I'm trying to control while I make this video. Elvis is the newest member of my family, and he joined me just a few days ago. He's an adoptee from Lollipop Farm. He's a cute little Maine Coon kitten, only 4 weeks old, and I just love him to death. But he is he's a pest. He wants to be with me at all times. Sit down here, would you, so I can talk to these people. Without any further introduction, let me switch this over and watch some of the chat that I had with Scott today.
One thing that I've started doing on my own website is I've started doing, instead of doing just still shots of my work, which doesn't reveal the actual technique that well, I've been setting up and doing little movies on a rotating stand. So I have one, I'm just going to show one piece, if that's okay with you,
Sure.
Where I can go.
Let's people get a sense of the 3D. Have you been to the website yet where we have the spherical photos?
Yes, I was there earlier this morning.
Yeah, now that's sort of the same concept, but you really can't see because it's actually a 2D photograph that's being spun around. You really can't tell that those are 3D pieces. So doing what you suggested really would be the best way to do it. I was really tickled when I went into the gallery yesterday. I didn't know you were going to be doing 3D pieces. And I was excited when I saw it because I'm a real fan of your 3D work.
Well, thank you. What I've done a little different than I have done in the past, whether, I've done some panels or that room before. The series that I'm showing right now, which it's a total of 20 pieces, 18 of which are I call it the Rolls Royce version of what I already do. Because I've been doing this standard edition with a white mat, not as deep of a frame. And several years back, I thought, well, I wanted to push it more. I wanted to push the limits more. To do that, I had to do a few different things. One of those things was use a deeper frame. So whereas in the past, my frames I believe are 1 inch, these are 2.5 inches deep in the channel. The other, so that really pops the actual effect even more. The second thing I decided to do, use black suede in the background of the image and behind it, so that the contrast was a lot more dramatic than it was with a white mat. So and I used suede because it was just, it revealed a beautiful texture without being velvet Elvis, in other words. The other thing too is, whereas the ones in the white mat are actually behind the white mat, so they're kind of sunken in behind the window. The black box series they're all floated forward. So that adds to the effect even more, floating as opposed to behind the window. When you eliminate the mat and you build everything from the back with no front mat, it looks like it's suspended in midair. The last thing I did was I use a very high quality non-reflective glass,
Yes.
which is made of true view. And that glass, what it does is I have found that when people are looking at the work in person, that it elicits a very tactile response. They will actually, because they don't see any glass, they want to, and it's because it's 3D, they want to reach into it and touch it. And that's why I find so many fingerprints on the glass.
I'll bet. Yeah. That's a tendency to do that. In fact, the one that I really like, this one right here, the one with the cabinet doors and the handles.
Yes, yes.
That one in particular, and you've shown that one with us before. That one, as soon as I see it, I want to reach for those handles and grab them. And
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I can see why you're saying that people would want to do that. You want to reach in and touch them.
Yeah, and I get on that particular piece, a comment that I get all the time is they think that I'm using real pieces of wood and metal handles in it. And they find it hard to believe. And I said, well, part of that is because I'm accentuating the texture in the wood when I print it. You know, I make it feel more lifelike. And then either, you know, because of the technique itself, making it three-dimensional, fools their mind and their eye more.
Oh yeah, that particular subject, the weathered wood with the paint peeling on it has a great texture to begin with. And I like that you've enhanced that so that it does give you the impression that it's real wood and you want to reach in and touch it. The handles in particular make you want to reach in and grab those handles. It's really kind of funny how it makes you get your mind to want to do that.
Right, and something helps with that particular size that I have there. The handles are actually almost, if not identical, one-to-one from the original. In other words, that size of that handle, you know, when you blow it up so much, that's like the actual size of the piece of wood. If it was any smaller, you wouldn't necessarily get that feeling like you wanted to grasp the handle. But that, because it is like regular size, if that's the correct term, you know, people do want to grab that. I just wanted to add one thing on to what I was saying a little earlier, is that this particular show, which I haven't done with your gallery or any other gallery, is I've never shown the entire series of the black box series of the fancy version. And so this is the first time that I got all my babies, you know, in one room. And so there's 18 black box series, which actually shows everything that I presently show as of the last year or two in that particular format.
Yeah, I was really excited when I walked in and saw that yesterday when I was taking the photographs. I said, boy, I really love this. It's all 3D. You know, I have a fascination with 3D and I shoot with 3D cameras. And but I'm always trying to find a way to display the 3D images on flat screens. And this, there's really not a good way to do that, although I do have a new 3D display pad. It's a tablet that has a special display that it really shows up 3D. But again, how do you do that in a practical gallery environment? You have an electronic display that people can buy and they can look left or right. Yours is, they're physical. You know, they're there that you can see them. You don't have to plug them in to have any electronics to work. And I really like that concept. I think I told you that I duplicated your effort on the jukebox. I did a 3D jukebox, and I have a real appreciation now for the amount of work that goes into one of these things. Boy, that was several days of hard work to, you know, printing out 3 or 4 copies of the photo, cutting everything carefully. And then for spacers, I used these little push pins, these clear push pins that you use. I don't know if you can see that or not, that you use on the cork board. I would heat the pin with a soldering iron so that I could pull the pin out, and then ended up with just a clear spacer like this. And that's what I used. And I was going to, let me just share my screen.
Easy trick for you.
You what? You have a trick?
I have your trick than what you went through. What you just went through was really time consuming.
Oh yeah.
I use several different types of objects. I use foam core. I use plastic and glass beads.
Uh-huh.
And then I also use swizzle sticks.
Swizzle sticks. There you go. There's an idea. Yeah.
They're sturdy, they're light, they can support very small areas. But all
Okay.
that stuff, when it gets, even if you have the pieces cut and ready, it's very, as you might already suspect because you've done this, it's very, very tedious work. And you've got to line up everything perfectly. You got to make sure your glue doesn't collapse. I mean, there are a number of issues that when you've been as long as I have, we know what to do. We know how to do it.
And
Well,
one of these was enough for me, Scott. I found out right away that this is far more work than I want to put into a piece.
this is the astrological clock in Prague. Okay, now let's bring it up. Let's rotate it slowly.
Yeah, it really gives you a sense of the 3D composition.
Yes.
I notice I never see the spacers that you use. You do a marvelous job of positioning the spacers that you don't see them. It really, really
Well,
is a beautiful job.
Right, thank you. Well, we are very particular about that, about angle, what I call angle of view. And when you do see them, we do them very symmetrically. And also they almost look like they're part of the piece, like they're supposed to be there. If anybody wants to visit my website, it's www.artifacts.com. And that spelling for artifacts is a little different, not what you think. It's A-R-T-E, P as in Paul, H-A-X, ARTEPHAX.com. And there's also a link on the site where if you need to get in touch with me, you can write me through the site or you can give me a phone call, which is on the site as well.
I learned a few lessons, but the main thing I learned is what an incredible talent you have in putting these things together and dedication in doing it. And I'm just really impressed with your work, Scott. I love it. I love it a lot. I loved it so much I imitated it.
Yep, thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
Scott, thank you very much for taking time to talk to me about the pieces that you have on display in the Newberger Gallery during the current show. They really are amazing. I'm a huge fan, as you can tell. And I sure hope that visitors will come to the gallery and see your work in person and get a real appreciation for the amount of time and effort and skill and just artistic flair that you put into producing your pieces. They're really amazing, and they're very nicely priced for the amount of work that goes into these and the beautiful results that you get. So thank you very much, everyone, for taking time to watch this video, and we hope to see you at Image City Photography Gallery again soon.